Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the ANZCAR Cup. We are here at Circuit of the Americas. Yes, it is Austin, Texas. It is a track that has left and right turns, and a lot of them indeed. And we are going to be racing here tonight on Performance E-Streaming. I am, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with it back in the broadcast booth after a little bit of time away. Joining me up here tonight, I have Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going, mate?
Yeah, good, Carl, and you. Glad you're back here. That way, the ladies and gents that are tuning in don't have to listen to my dreary voice.
Oh, it's been anything but dreary, Mark. It's been great to be listening on to you boys. Fantastic stuff. And of course, we have Mr. Matty Hunter doing all the hard work in the background. How you going, Matt?
Yeah, going good, Cal. Going good. Hopefully, we've got a bit of grasp of these cameras tonight.
Absolutely. A lot of cameras here for Matt to work through. It is a very big track. We're looking at almost 5.5 kilometers of racetrack here at COTA. It's a place that will cause many headaches for people. It's not the easiest tracks to get to grips with, but this new generation of car has brought us some very, very cool aspects to road racing. So should make an interesting one for sure. Looking at track temperatures tonight, it is 39 degrees Celsius, 102 Fahrenheit. That is a very, very hot track here at Texas, and that's going to hurt those tyres, Mark.
Most definitely, Carl. We seen last night with the Thunder guys, they had a bit of slip and slide, but I've been told that these tyres and this car, the first lap and a half, 2 laps, it's like trying to drive on ice.
Absolutely. The warm-up with the tyres in this latest generation has been very difficult indeed. Quickly looking at the championship, we have got Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson and Daniel Hedershey joining us drivers as locked in to their chase as long as they complete their mandatory number of races. Edward Foster's leading the regular championship with Lachlan Urquio just behind him. Ruben Phelps trying to do maths in my head, third position. Then we have Jamie Nankervis, Joshua Carroll, Dave Douglas, Dylan O'Shea, with Stevie Duck, Paul Jackson, Joe Schultz just rounding out those sort of positions. So championship-wise, interesting. It could throw us a bit of a wild card tonight if somebody can get a victory here when they not necessarily as quick on, say, the ovals, or if they're struggling to get that win on the oval, they could secure themselves a spot in the chase by getting a victory here as long as they complete the mandatory number of races, of course. We're about to go into the gridding up process, of course, in a few moments' time, and we'll go through the grid. But as you said, Mark, it's going to be a tricky one on those tyres.
Yeah, it definitely is, Carl. We seen last night Ruben Phelps almost pull a rabbit out of his hat with pitting late and coming through and having a great run at the back end of the race. So I wonder if anyone's going to try that and take a note out of his booklet from last night.
Yeah, the overcut could be a useful tool in the arsenal tonight, and we'll go through the details of what all that technical stuff means a little bit later in the broadcast. We have a first-time pole sitter in Luke Rosella here tonight in the Cup. He has raced in the Cup Series before. I think Dover, I think, was the last time I saw Luke last year. He's sitting next to Andrew Dyson. I'm expecting a fun battle here at the front. Second row, we have Pearson and O'Shea, another two track specialists. Darren Lobb and Daniel Hedershey round up row 3 again. Very competent drivers on the twisty stuff with Toby Stent and Stevie Dubb on row 4. Good qualifying for Stevie Dubb there. JCW is on row 5 with Luke Trahaert, who is outside. Row 6 is Darren McKenzie with Jai Schultz. 7th row has Urquio with Barry Neal. On row number 8, we've got Riley Curtis and Matty Ray. 9th row has Dave Douglas with Michael Skurlock. 10th row is Christopher Tomlin with Mr. Mirko Dawsonak. 11th row has Nankervis with Malone. 12th row sees Daniel Boyd with Brad Fenley. 13th row is Norman Clark, Tristan Koch. 14th row is Kobe Jordan next to Paul Jackson. Then it's Blake Delaney, Ruben Phelps, Brenton Henderson, Phil Otto, and rounding us out is Tristan Yelland. So a lot of cars in there tonight, a lot of some faces we haven't seen in some time, a couple of a new face as well. So it should be an interesting one. Going to be fantastic to see who can get this one right. I'm also wondering if we're going to see anybody duck into the pit lane very early to do a couple of little tweaks to the car to try and get that little adjustment early on, because dropping the tyre pressures could give you a huge advantage here, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. We spoke about, you and I spoke about that before, and I don't think anyone up the front will do that. I think if anyone's going to do that, it's going to be someone from down the back. But I would expect someone in early. The critical lap is probably lap 18, where that's their fuel range, about 18 laps here tonight. So I wonder if we will, as you said, Carl, see anyone into the pit lane very early, make some adjustments to their ride heights, the tyre pressures, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Should be interesting stuff. We're about to go green here. It's Rosella and Dyson on the front row. And Rosella gets his foot down very early there at the start. We are green and everybody's away. Watch turn number 1. That is the place where things can go wrong very, very quickly. It does indeed. As O'Shea, I think that was, taps Dyson. Stevie Dub gets a bit wide there as well. He manages to save the car. Just looking back as well, looks like people have made it through a little bit of a check up in the back of the field because of that spin from Dyson up the front of the field. We have had Kobe Jordan and Blake Delaney in pit lane though.
Sorry, Carl, I'm just trying to see if there's any damage on Dyson's car. It looks like it's fairly straight. He's way back down in the field now. We're around with Jay Schultz, and he's sitting behind JCW at the moment. So not the way he would have wanted this race to start for him.
No, absolutely. A tricky start there for Dyson, but if we know anything from Andrew Dyson, it is that he is quick on a road course, and I'm sure he will want to try and gain those positions back. So expect an interesting charge there. Somebody goes very, very wide in turn number 11 there. Not quite see who that was. Just looking at the timing screen now, I think it might have been Riley Curtis there, just taking the long way around there. Just got to be so careful on this track in the early stages. It's so easy to go wide in these corners. They're very heavy braking zones. We're in turn number 12 now. Very heavy braking zone. You can see Stevie Dubb just goes wide. Lachlan Okuyo gets sideways through that corner, manages to hold the car. These things are absolute pigs on cold tyres as well. So good job from these drivers to get it around the first lap. It is not an easy task to do whatsoever.
Just watching Daniel Boyd back there in the 79 car, I believe it is. He's having a real fight on his hands. He's run wide a few times. He's locked those front brakes up. So that car is not handling to the way he would want it to be handling at the moment.
It just escalates as you're going along. It just gets worse and worse and worse as you're driving along. It almost feels like the car falls off a cliff and it does not recover once you start having those problems. Of course, when you run wide, you get all that horrible dust and dirt on the tyres, and that sticks to them as well. The tyres won't be fully up to temperature yet, so it might not be as detrimental to some of these drivers, but it can really, really hurt you in the long run. It slows you down for a couple of laps. You see Andrew Dyson, they're getting past the 43 the way down machine of Luke Traher.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up, Carl. Dyson's made up 5 spots in basically half a lap. So, yeah, we've the 223 of Tristan Yellen has just turned himself around and got himself going again back in just before the right-hander turn 2, I believe it was. So he's not having a good night either.
It's a shame. He had a very good start. He managed to get up to P29 on the start there, but he has fallen down. We've got this battle between the 43 of Traher and Dyson right now, and you've got to say, I imagine the red mist has fallen down in front of Dyson right now. He is going to be a very heavy hitter out on track, and if you like heavy hitters, check out The Way Down. Of course, all about MMA. If you're into mixed martial arts, check out Luke Traher and The Way Down. Of course, some good stuff there. But Dyson, at the moment, charging his way through the field. We've got Matty Ray up here with, I think that's Barry Neal there as well. And they've got Lachlan Okuyo. Great little battle going on here between these cars. All of them really fighting it out, side by side stuff. brilliant opening action here at COTA for round number 6 of the Cup season.
Yeah, last night we seen Lockie have a great start and unfortunately got mixed up early in getting turned around in turn 1. But also Matty Ray had made it into the top 10 last night. So I was talking to him earlier and his plan is just to stay clean and try and get another top 10 finish here. But he said he'd be absolutely wrapped if he can finish in the top 15.
Absolutely. It's if he can have a nice strong run here tonight, it will help him out immensely. It looks like we've lost Phil Otto from the race, unfortunately. Looks like he's just taking it behind the wall here tonight. But we've got 32 other cars on track, a bumper field here at COTA. We were expecting to see a few less cars in the field.
Jamie Nankervis has turned it around in turn 20, and I do not know how the rest of that field got past him. They were absolutely scattering everywhere.
Very, very close stuff there. That looked like it was going to be a big, big moment. As just a little bit further up, you can just see everybody just squeezing through there and just getting through. Riley Kerr's one of those cars that just survives it. And yeah, that's a scary place to have a big spin like that. Just looking a little bit up the field, Dyson has just got past Toby Stent and Daniel Hederscheid now. He's starting to make the charge towards the front. He has now got Darren Lobb, Neil Pearson, Dylan O'Shea and Luke Rosella. Luke Rosella having a great run. He's 2.5 seconds ahead at the moment. Rosella, of course, in the... Sorry, just hearing some stuff in the radio there. It sounds like Lachlan Urquio's had a bit of a moment a little bit further down the field. He's gone around. He's been tapped from behind by a very late lunge from...
It looks like it was Kobe.
Christopher Tomlin.
Christopher Tomlin, was it?
Last of the late breakers there. You should see the replay. I think it was in turn 10, I think. So a little bit further along from here. We'll see this one. Big moment for those cars. So a little bit further along here. Yeah, there we go. That's the end of it. So just coming towards this corner. Last of the late breakers there from Tomlin. He locks it up and then just gives Urquio a little tap at the rear, and that spins that SRM car around.
Very similar to what happened to him last night, Carl, in the Thunder Series.
It's never fun when things repeat themselves like that. Synergy, that's the one I was looking for. Luke Rosella, of course, part of Synergy. So I had an absolute mental blank there as I was talking about Luke. But he is up front at the moment having a good run. A big shame there for Urquio. He's having a good run there, but he can still recover from those positions. The race is not over and done with for sure.
No, definitely not. It's a long race around here. Like it's only 30 laps, but you still think 30 laps around a 5-kilometre track. That's certainly a long way.
Well, it's a 5.5 kilometre long track, 20 corners, and the corners here are very unforgiving. This track is a tricky one to set the car up for as well, because you've got so many. You've got a lot of high-speed corners, and then you've got a lot of medium-speed corners with a couple of very low-speed corners as well. And that makes it very tricky to know what you want to do for the car, because you might want to set it up with some slightly lower tyre pressures for those very nice low-speed corners to help you get around there. But that doesn't help you for the high-speed stuff. So it's a track where you have to compromise, and you have to get that sort of setting that's not quite right for anything, but does a good job for the majority of the track.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, Carl, 20 turns here, and Matt's got 41 cameras to play with, so he's going to have a good job tonight.
He had some practice last night, at least. That was something. No, it is a very tricky place indeed, but it does lead to some good racing. One of the other things to be cautious of at COTA, of course, is those big yellow sausage curbs. They are absolute evil things, and they can really cause a lot of damage to the car if you hit it in the wrong way.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to hit him in a Formula V. I can tell you that from experience.
Yeah, I feel that pain as well. I may have been P2 in a it was actually a Skip Barber race, but yeah, clipped a curb and that was the end of my race. Painful stuff. Up the front, it looks like Dyson is making a move on Lob at the moment at turn 1, and he makes that move stick. Get up the inside, late braking there from Dyson. He's moved himself up into P4 now. Next on the list is the red flavour of DPR car in Neil Pearson.
Yeah, definitely. But Dyson's just not over driving that car. He's just pushing it just ever so slightly, but it's well within its limits by the look of it. It's not moving around or being unstable in any of the turns. As you said, Carl, the low speed corners, it's very stable, as well as the high speed. So maybe it's to his liking, and we may not see him make any changes tonight.
No, that's it. He looks pretty confident out there at the moment, but it is Andrew Dyson and it is Cotra. It is one of his favourite tracks, and well, we had the honour of having him up in the broadcast booth for the truck race earlier in the year, and that gave some nice, insightful commentary because, you know, he's a much better driver than I am.
I think he's a much better driver than you and I put together, Carl.
Yeah, I do not doubt that. I mean, even with our best sectors all combined, I think we would be struggling sometimes. But yeah, he is very quick and he has a great affinity to this track as well. It really suits him well. So expect to see that battle coming along. Still got Luke Rosella up at the front though. He is leading this race at the moment. Having a great run out there. Starting from pole position, he is keeping that car with a nice healthy gap of 2 and a bit seconds, 2.8 seconds out in front of Dylan O'Shea at the moment. I'll be interested to see what happens when Dyson and O'Shea get close together as well. Remember, it was contact between O'Shea and Dyson at the start of this race. So, you know, as is customary with NASCAR and saloon car racing, when you get turned by somebody, you know, you just keep that in the memory bank, put it on the list, and sometimes you just give a little bit more rubbing to the person when you're going past them again.
Yeah, definitely. And we see a move there by Pearson on O'Shea. Nice, easy, clean move. So I was just going to say, it looks like O'Shea and DPR have parted ways.
Yep.
Didn't hear
correct,
anything
yeah.
in the pipework. So yeah, okay. So they have parted ways.
Been a few weeks now, yeah, but yeah, O'Shea has left DPR and gone to number 2.
So no love lost there between old teammates, and as you said, Carl, Rubbin's racing. So as you said, it'll be interesting once Dyson gets back up on the rear end. Are we going to see any payback?
That is it. We'll keep an eye on that one for you for sure. As side by side now with Pearson and O'Shea, some really good racing happening up here at the front. These 3 drivers are, well, they're familiar with each other as well. And look, we could be in for a fantastic little race from these guys. Could be a really fun little battle going on here at the front of the track as Dyson goes for a late braking and gets past O'Shea up into P3 in this race now. And he's going to be thinking, okay, let's see what we can do. Don't discount those 2 Natari cars as well. You've got Daniel Hederscheid and Toby Stent just sitting a little bit further back now. They're just sitting there just going, okay, we're keeping our eyes on what's going on. We're not going to be pushing too hard too early. We've seen in the trucks and the Xfinity cars, that very different cars, of course, on this track. But if you push too hard too quickly, sometimes you can just overcook those tyres. They just get a little bit too hot too quickly, and they don't last as long in the race, and you can struggle a little bit further into the stint. Could we see here the 2 Atari cars pulling the rabbit out of the hat and coming along nicely? Luke Traher as well, just sitting back there in 8th position. He's having a good run with Joshua Carroll-Walden in 9th, and we've got Joy Schultz in 10th position. He's having a solid run tonight, just ahead of the winner from last night, Mr. Darren McKenzie.
Yeah, heart's got to go out for sorry, I've lost
Jason Martin.
Yeah, Jason Martin from last night. Crossed the line, or didn't cross the line, but he got mixed up on that last lap incident, and that gave him a drive through and took the win off him. So unfortunate for him, but look, Darren McKenzie did drive really well last night. Same with all the guys that finished in the top 5 last night. It was a real good battle, and again, like tonight, we're seeing some great battles throughout the field.
Absolutely, and it's a good point you brought up there as well, Mark. Of course, COTA is notorious for off tracks, and it is very, very strict. You can only put, well, some places you can't even put 2 wheels across the white line, let alone all 4 wheels. You will get a penalty. And
Sorry, mate. We've got to change. A hell of a battle up front with Luke Russell and Neil Pearson. Neil nearly had the lead there. He stuck it up the inside, but Luke just held up strong to the outside. So we now have a 3-way battle for this lead. And there, Dyson's coming down the outside. Will he look at the switchback?
Like I say, 3-way, it looks like it's 4-way, possibly a 5-way battle for the lead in the very near future. It's getting very tasty up here at the front. Little bit of contact between O'Shea and Pearson there. And what I was going to say is O'Shea has to be careful. He cannot afford to make contact with another car at the moment because he's sitting on 10 incident points as it stands. So if he gets a little nudge, if he gets a tap from anywhere, he could easily see himself getting a drive-through penalty. The other thing, of course, is if you get an off-track here, it will ping up 2 incident points. So he has nothing that he can do. He has to be so cautious on this racetrack now to not get a penalty, because if he does, he's going to have to serve a drive-through.
Yeah, definitely. And it's settled down again, so maybe the tyres have just got a little bit of heat into them. They'll take a lap or 2 to settle those tyre pressures down and the temps down, and then I think it'll be on again.
No, absolutely. But it's going to be fighting with one arm tied behind his back at the moment for O'Shea. He is going to be in a world of hurt with the little incident points that he has, because by my screen he's sitting on 10 at the moment, and that is going to mean he does not really have any jokers up his sleeve. He can't really cut any turns to give him a really good exit out of places as much. He's really got to stick to the track as close as possible, and if he makes a little bump, like he almost did there. Did he make contact with Dyson there? If he did, he's going to have a drive-through penalty. If not, he'll be safe. But if he makes a little contact with another car, he will have to have a drive-through penalty. And that is a really costly thing to have this early in the race, as we're only on lap 8 of 30.
I guess, though, Carl, if you're going to get one, you want it early in the first half of the race. At least then you can have a chance of fighting back. But look, we've got to have incidence points in these races. Otherwise, you'll find that some drivers will just go hell for leather, and it'll be a smash-up derby. So, it is there for a reason, just to make sure the drivers do behave themselves and don't use this as a ram fest.
Well, the other thing, Mark, is racing drivers are well known for their track limitations. If you say to a racing driver, this is a corner, they'll draw a straight line through it. So you have to have those track limits, and you have to have those penalty points to stop drivers from taking the mickey on track limits as well. Because it's very easy for them to do. You want to make the corner as straight as possible, that's your job. But you've also got to have it so people can't take advantage of that. And that's a beautiful thing in sim racing, that you do have that ability just to sort of say, look, okay, you can do a couple of it, you can do it here and there, just cut a corner a little bit sharp, and just take that little bit of track limits, maybe on the exit here and there, but you can only do it a couple of times. As is real life racing, you only get a couple of strikes, and then you no longer have them up your sleeve.
Yeah, definitely. Luke Russell's been able to just pull out a second half over Dyson now, so yeah, I don't know, maybe Dyson's worked his tyres just that little bit too hard, getting back to the front. So,
well, I reckon Rosella made a mistake when you saw that happening, Mark. I'm going back to have a little bit of a look at it now, and just see if I can spot it anywhere, because he had a clear lead over the rest of those cars, and I just wonder if he's made a bit of a mistake somewhere, locked a wheel, just got it off on the wrong place, and that's why he slowed down that little bit. So he's definitely got some pace in that car, because he's pulled out a 2 and a bit second gap again over Dyson now. And last time round, he was well within the 2-minute 12-second laps, which is a lot faster than anybody else on the track. He's currently got the fastest lap of a 2:12 1.5, whereas Andrew Dyson's best lap is a 2 minutes 12.4. So, there's a lot of pace in Luke Rosella's car at the moment. The number 32 is looking very, very good tonight. He's got some synergy in that car tonight, and it's going well. Just looking through the field, the 223 of Tristan Yellen has had to go for a drive-through, unfortunately for himself. But I believe we've just been joined in the booth, Mark.
Yeah, I've been able to sneak into the team radio and hijack it. Matty Ray, car driver, the driver of 83. You got a copy there, Mark in the booth.
How you going, boys?
Hey, mate. Good that you can take a bit of time out to join us here. How's it going so far? You've made a few spots. You're up into that top 15 where you said you like to be. Are we looking at going to try and make it maybe a bit higher?
We are trying, but it's bloody hard. And these guys are pretty quick, so I'm trying to catch Barry here, of course, but he's getting away from me slowly, and my own teammates are catching me, so we might have to pit a bit early compared to the other lads, but we'll see.
All right, mate. Any big changes that you got planned? Or just tyre pressures?
Just dropping the pressures a little bit, and yeah, that's it really. That's all we can do sort of around here, but yeah, we'll see how that goes, and hopefully try and get the rubber to hang on a bit longer next stint.
All right, mate. Well, thanks very much for joining us in the booth. We'll let you go and concentrate. We can see Lockie just closing in on you there. And so, again, thanks very much for joining us in the booth, and maybe we check back in with you later.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Cheers.
Great stuff there, Matty Ray. It's not easy to talk and drive at the same time, but he is doing an excellent job of it, and he's one of the only drivers that I can see out there. Himself and Joshua Carroll-Walden, the only two drivers that do not have any incident points on their sheet. Not a surprise for Matty Ray to have that as clean as possible. A little bit further back, O'Shea and Pearson are battling it out at the front, and crossover slipped under. A little bit of contact there from O'Shea and Pearson. And will this be a drive-through for O'Shea? I reckon it might be. Which we might be seeing O'Shea needing to come through pit lane to serve a drive-through with that little bit of contact.
Yeah, it's a shame, but as you said, Carl, they're there for a reason. So let's see what happens. Sorry, Matt, you were about to talk.
Okay, yeah, Matt just let us know that he was on 13, so yeah, he has got a penalty, and I just checked over, and there's a black flag next to his name. That means he has to come through for a drive-through penalty in the next couple of laps, and that's a big shame there. But that's I guess it's the penalty he pays for making that contact with Andrew Dyson at the start of the race, and Dyson got spun around, sent down the field, and O'Shea, he had to pay the penalty a little bit further along, unfortunately, for himself, but I'm sure he can fight his way back from there. He's not coming in this time round by the looks of it, so he might just get out there for another lap, try and get a little bit more pace out of the car, and try and get down pit road, get that penalty served. So interesting stuff going on there.
Yeah, well, Carl, he's got 3 laps to serve that drive-through. So, but the thing is, he can't. As we see, O'Shea dive down the inside and put himself out into the boonies. As I was saying, he's got 3 laps to serve that drive-through, but you can't pit on that drive-through. You must continue straight through the pit lane. So there's no use him trying to make a stop on the drive-through.
No, that's it. It's a painful thing as well. So just saw there Neil Pearson just getting that lock up, and that's allowed Darren Lobb to get past as well. So we've got a new top 5 in the driver's standings, and right behind them are those 2 Nasari cars. Got Heddershide and Toby Stent there. And looks some good battling going on up here at the front. We've got a car in pit lane, and that is Michael Skurlock. Looks like Skurley is coming in a little bit earlier than the rest. He might be one of the first cars to make a pit stop. I think we've lost Mirko Dortnak from the race, unfortunately. So it looks like Mirko's pulled that car in and possibly pulled it out tonight. With 350 of Skurlock coming in the Porsche. He's coming in to get some fresh tyres, and we should get an idea of pace as well now on some fresh boots of what a car can do if he heads back out.
Yeah, definitely. Neil Pearson is coming under threat from Daniel Heddershire. He's closed up, and yeah, we'll be starting to put some real pressure on Pearson in front of him. I know Daniel and Toby have been having a great run in the Warriors races this year, so they'll be definitely looking for a top 5 here.
Absolutely, it'll be a nice finish for them. They get solid top 5s. You know, these points help, but it also stamps your name onto the road racing category as well when you're dicing it out with people like Darren Lott, Neil Pearson, you know, Andrew Dyson, those guys. If you can take the race to them a little bit, it really makes a difference.
So O'Shea has stayed out again, so he must, if he has, I'm not doubting you guys, but if he has got a black flag, he must pit next time by. Otherwise,
Yeah.
he will be black flag from the race, a DQ.
Yeah, he'll get the big black flag next to him if he does not serve that penalty. Let's hope that we can get that penalty served and get back in this race and bring us some more entertainment from there. He has gone through he has served a black flag, yeah. So he's made a pit stop. So he's just come in for his second stop as well now. So yeah, sometimes unfortunately, sometimes our timing data doesn't always work in the way that we'd like it to work. But with my I can check on the iRacing side of things and see it properly as well, which helps out a little bit sometimes. When it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, Tristan Yelland, he's just come in for some fresh boots and made his pit stop and got that all underway. Luke Rosella still out in the lead of this race, still selling some great laps. What we might do, well, lap 12, you know, we might see some people coming in pit lane in the very near future. So if nobody decides to pit, we might just do a lap with from Rosella's point of view, get an idea of this place from a very fast car here tonight, and get a little bit of airtime for Luke Rosella because he's been a bit lonely out there at the front of the track. So coming down here, pit lane, pit entry on your left-hand side, turn number 20, the final corner. You want to get through here, get a good exit onto this big long straight. You can see it goes very quickly uphill. It's a very steep climb up to turn 1, which is a very, very tight left-hander. It's also just slightly cambered in. It's uphill as well. It's a very tricky corner to get right. Very easy to lock a wheel and get this one wrong. Takes that apex beautifully. Just a little lock of a tyre that gets it through perfectly. Down towards turn number 2 into 3, 4 and 5. The S's, these are very fast sweeping corners. Got to be on it through here. Got to keep the car settled. Take a nice bit of curb. Don't hit the yellow parts. Get through here neatly. And you're going to be hitting turn number 6. The long sweeping right-hander will take you to the the tight left-hander, turn number 7. Got to get this one right because it takes you up to turn 8 and 9. This very twisty section here. Uphill again, the car likes to lock its brakes as you come over the crest of the hill in turn 9. Turn 10 is just a slight kink to the left. Very easy to get it wrong on cold tyres. The car likes to loop it down to the hairpin of turn 11. Tight left-hander, drop the car into first gear, get the car turned in, swing it around because now you've got a very long straight indeed. The back straight is the longest straight on the track and it is a great opportunity to make a pass. Also gives the drivers a little opportunity to stretch their hands, have a little wiggle, get themselves comfortable. Now coming into the braking zone of turn 12, want to start braking around right here where you're halfway down the curve on the right-hand side, turning in the left-hander of 12. Very tight, takes the curb beautifully. Up towards turn 13, sweeping right-hander. It's a double apex 13 and 14. Almost treat it like the same corner here. Then you come into a second double apex of turn number 15. This one sweeps around and you just got to get it right. You've got to hit this apex perfectly. Be cautious on the exit. The car likes to loop it. Now up to the carousel, turn at number 17. This long sweeping right-hander, very similar to a corner in Turkey. In fact, this is almost a best of track. It's got a lot of fun corners on it. Very easy to lose the rear of the car. Turn number 19, sharp left-hander on the brakes. Drop it down into second gear. Get through there. Take the curbs nicely. On to turn 20 once again, and that's a lap of COTA.
Yeah, I've just sorry, I've got my speed set up in miles. So the slowest corner there on that lap was 40 mile an hour, and that was one of the very sharp hairpins. But down through the S's, he was up to nearly 200 mile an hour through those S's. So that's very fast.
No, it is indeed. It is a really fast section of track, and you've got to keep that car settled in there. It makes the tyres just scream in agony as well when you're going through that section. And when you're on old tyres, it does not help. Now, Dylan O'Shea has just been, well, disconnected and out of the race. So we've lost Dylan O'Shea from the race. Jai Schultz is the first of our top 10 to come through pit lane. He is coming in now to make his tyre stop. So we should start seeing some more takers for those tyres. I think people are going to try the overcut here tonight. And, Mark, the overcut and the undercut, what are the differences?
Well, the overcut is you stay out longer, and it gives you a shorter run home on better tyres. Where the undercut, you want to try and get in underneath the people, take your fuel and tyres, get back out and try and get past those guys as they come into pits and do their pit stops. There's pros and cons for each, and each of them just depends on your driving style, really.
Absolutely. We're going to see how that one pays off. Jai Schultz, the first driver into pit lane from the top 10, and he is going to try the undercut, see if he can jump a couple of positions. Coming in lap 14, it means he's got 16 or almost 17 laps to do on these tyres now. So it's a long old stint. And one of the things that tends to happen at a place like Coaches, especially with the temperatures as they are, it's 37 degrees track temperature, 22 degrees air temperature, but with such a high track temperature, it really causes a lot of what we call thermal degradation. Got a good battle here with Matty Ray at the moment with Riley Curtis. This is for 15th spot. Riley Curtis just getting past Mr. Matty Ray, moving himself just up ahead there. And Riley Curtis having a solid run tonight and giving us a good battle here with the SRM machine and Matty Ray.
Just looking back out the front there, Carl, Luke has absolutely blitzed Dyson. He's now got almost a 5-second gap between him and Andrew Dyson in second place.
Yeah, he's got some nice breathing room there for sure, and he looks pretty settled at the moment. As we said, Luke is sort of more known for his V8 racing, so circuit racing is the speciality. He has come and driven a couple of road circuits, a couple of road courses, a couple of oval courses with us before. The first time seeing him out on the road course in this car, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. Riley Curtis up there in P15 at the moment. Very, very pretty looking car, as always we expect with Riley Curtis, and he's just pulling it into pit lane.
Yeah, Luke's just put a lap on Paul Jackson, so unfortunate for Paul. I think he will go a lap down. Yes, just clicked over as a lap down car now. Paul back out there with his regular purple wheels on.
The tribute to Mark Johansson, the purple rims of Paul Jackson, making Mark's eyes bleed wherever he can do it. Good to see Paul out there, and look, it's 15 laps into this race with the pace of those front runners. You know that they're very quick out there tonight, and it can be a little bit disheartening sometimes when you get lapped by these guys, because you think, oh, no, I must be slow, but these guys are just ridiculously quick sometimes. It's a good run so far from Jackson. He could be in with a good top 25 finish tonight, so keep an eye on his latter stages. Brad Fenley there as well, having a solid run in the 20 car, the VB entry car, of course. He's just keeping his nose clean, just keeping quiet and just settling in just for a good points finish. And it's one of those places I always find with road courses in the NASCAR series, you tend to sort of get some good, strong points positions, and they tend to be fairly reliable point position finishes as well, because if you just keep your nose clean, you can sort of guarantee yourself at least a sort of top 20 finish sometimes when there's, almost 30 cars out there.
Yeah, definitely. Just in front of him is Jamie Nankervis. As you see him go through the S's. He's not having a great night. He's stuck down in 24th position. I was talking to him earlier today, and I know he's not a fan of this car on this track. So he's struggling a little bit tonight. He had a reasonable night last night. I think he was up into the top 15. But tonight's just not his night.
We've got Traher and Carol Walden in pit lane now. Two more drivers deciding to pit at this point. It won't be long until we see the whole field coming in, because they'll start to need fuel around about lap 18 or so. But it's some people just extending their stints and deciding to go for that long first stint and have those fresh tyres to the end of the race. And I think that's a wise decision, as the battle for pit lane exits there. Luke Traher just on the back of JCW. Close exit for 7th and 8th at the moment, and this could be a little juicy battle. They've got to be careful not pushing too hard too soon as well on those cold tyres, as JCW just gets a little lock up there, gives Traher the opportunity to have a bit of a run. He keeps the position there at the moment in the 35 and 43 all over him at the moment. But of course, remember, drivers can change some of the settings of their car in pit lane in the Cup Series. Of course, it is a fixed setup with a open setup ability, so to say. So they all run the same setup, but in pit lane they can change tyre pressures, and they can also change the bump of the suspension. So just changing that sort of ride a little bit. So there's a few little things you can tweak. So these drivers will be very happy now that they've changed those tyre pressures. They'll drop the tyre pressures a little bit, make the car feel a lot more comfortable to run. But of course, low tyre pressures means on a cold tyre it can be very tricky to get around the track.
Yeah, but I guess this is the time you want it. When you come in, take fresh rubber, you put in another 73 litres, or top the car right up, and then you can play with it and get it to the suiting and the settings you like.
Absolutely, it's all about getting those setups as you like them. It's easier said than done, though. It's not an easy thing to get absolutely right, and we're starting to get cars now in positions where they're out of position, and that could lead to some interesting racing going on as well. Everybody from P11 has taken their pit stops so far. Joshua Carroll Walden is the first driver on fresh boots, with Luke Traher just behind him. Jai Schultz not too far off from these guys. He's got about 16 seconds to the next car. So he's sort of making those tyres work as well as he can at the moment. He'll be wanting to use those fresh boots. We've got Barry Neal, Lachlan Oakville, and Darren McKenzie in pit lane this time around as well. So we'll see a lot of changes of positions on the screen for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking further down, there is one or two others that haven't taken their pit stop. Adam Malone, I actually see that he hasn't been through pit lane yet, and I thought he would have been in by now and made some wholesale changes to that car.
Yeah, this is where we could see some people really come alive in at the next stage, and just saw in the YouTube chat as well, we need a purple car on track, and I think we do, absolutely. It made the race very entertaining last night, but hopefully we'll get some of that same action later in at this stint. We had a really good opening first few laps, and we saw some good racing beginning. It's starting to get a little bit drawn out now, but with pit stops, that means it's going to compress the field a fair bit. We should see some really fun racing now as people work their way back through the field on some fresh tyres. As people start to tweak those, the pressures, things like that, will make for an interesting run to the end.
Yeah, definitely. Just seen there the green and black car with the Black Arrows driver Norman Clark down in 25th, having a quiet night tonight. Probably not where he would like to be, but again, just being out there circulating, staying out of trouble, and getting championship points.
Absolutely. Neil Pearson, Darren Lobb, Toby Stent in pit lane this time around. So some of the higher up drivers coming in. This could be interesting. And Norman's just having a cruisy race at the moment. I don't think he's a huge fan of Kota, but he's currently the first car a lap down, so he's not too far off the rest. Sitting 25th position, not a bad place to be either. You know, it's a solid finishing spot, and he'll be pretty happy with that run. The main thing he'll be looking for is some good racing out there. If he can get some good racing with some other people, that will be the thing that makes him happiest.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking back up towards the front, the gap between first and second now is out to 7.1 seconds. So Luke Russell is definitely making a good meal of this race.
Yeah, Rosella is having a really good run at the front at the moment. Luke he's really putting the pace in, and that 7-second gap is healthy to have over Andrew Dyson. You just got to wonder, once they switch their tyres, once they're both on fresh boots, will we see Dyson put the hammer down and try and catch up to the 32? Or does the 32 have it here tonight? That's going to be an interesting battle. Keep your eyes peeled on that one. And the battle behind as well, I think that's going to get very juicy as well. Once they all start to pit, the battle between Neil Pearce and Darren Lobb, that should be a pretty fun race as well. Toby Stent and Daniel Hederscheid, there should be some good runs there. And don't forget the rest of the drivers out there. Ruben Phelps sticking it out as long as possible.
Sorry, Carl. Rosella is in pit lane.
He is indeed, and you can see Nankervis there just in front of him. And has Dyson been saving fuel? No, he's coming in as well. This might be the crucial lap where everybody needs to come in because they do not now have enough gas in the tank to get home from here. So they're taking it as long as humanly possible. As we see Hederscheid coming in as well. I was just going to say, Ruben Phelps, watch out for him. He had a solid run yesterday in the Xfinity Series. He kept that stint longer and had a really good run at the end. Race out of pit lane. Rosella gets a good run out there. He will have that gap. Let's see how close Dyson got in that pit stop, because he is a master of getting down pit road quickly, and he has closed the gap. The gap was almost 8 seconds when they're coming onto pit road. It's now 1.5 seconds.
I think Dyson got pills and only took rights. Did not see the car go up on the left.
I would say that would be crazy, because I can't imagine that. I didn't see the car raise at all, but I'd have to say that's probably a bug more than anything. I can't imagine he wouldn't have changed tyres.
Yeah, well, the timing's only showing. Yeah, there's definitely a bug there somewhere, because on the live time, and it's only showing, for me, it's only showing Dyson in the lane for 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, there's definitely something that's gone wrong there. So he was stationary for a lot longer than that. So yeah, it's one of those interesting little bug there, unfortunately, and that is painful for us, because I would be fascinated to see just how that one goes. A little bit of contact between Brenton Henderson and Kobe Jordan, just exiting. Henderson just coming out of pit lane. He just collected Kobe Jordan just in turn one, and that's a really dangerous spot as cars exit pit lane. With Dyson's pace at the moment as well, he would have had to have changed tyres, you would think, because he's keeping pace to Luke Rosella at the moment. And if he was on old tyres, you'd say you'd have a bit more pace on the old warm tyres than Luke would have on the stone cold tyres. But he would also start dropping off a little bit, you would imagine.
Yeah, you would imagine so. By this, and Norman Clark, as we talking up his praise just moments ago, you can see him facing towards the wall at turn 20. Back to the front. Yeah, you would have to say by now that pace would have dropped off if he was on old tyres, and as you said, it's still within 700ths of a second.
Interesting inside information from a very, very quick driver and champion of ANZCAR. They have just changed tyre pressures because their tyre wear, you could keep the tyres alive. So I wonder if Dyson may have just changed his tyre pressures, not the actual tyres itself, and just taking fuel. So that's an interesting one. We'll find out those details later on. Just looking at Norman Clark here, just gets on the power a little bit too soon out of turn 20 and loops the car around, gives the barrier the slightest boop, but other than that, that's pretty much fine. There's not going to be any damage to that car, luckily.
If I can jump in here, I'm just wondering, last year we didn't really see any tyre drop off on the road courses. they raced like a GT car. Really, they didn't really drop off at all. So, and looking at the data, just on the lap before they all pitted, they were only within half a second of their fastest laps. So,
Yeah.
I wonder if Dyson maybe did no tyres and just got fuel only.
Well, I reckon that Pearson and Lobb did fuel only because they were stationary for 12.5 seconds, which tells me they didn't change tyres. Because with a tyre stop, it's about 15 and a bit seconds. So pretty much everybody else has done tyre changes. With the amount of gap that Dyson ate up with not taking tyres, I reckon that is why he gained so much time, because he was clearly, he gained 7 seconds in a pit stop. And that is not an easy thing to do. And the only way he could do that, I imagine, would be just not taking tyres.
And that would also play into Luke doesn't really race that much, so he wouldn't know or wouldn't remember from last year, perhaps, on the road courses, that you didn't really need to change tyres.
That's it.
I know last year the races we were seeing Dyson not change the tyres and just punching out the same lap times the whole race.
Although Luke Rosella has just said to Dyson, maybe you should have changed tyres, because he just did a 2 minute 11.5 seconds, 11.5 on that lap. Andrew Dyson 2:12.4, a full second faster that time round for Luke Rosella. So maybe, you don't really need to change the tyres. Maybe the fresh tyres, there's not as much of an advantage, but it looks like there might just be a tiny little bit of gain there, at least for that first lap or two.
Well, the next 10 laps will certainly tell.
Yeah, interesting. That's changed up the race a fair bit, and Luke could be on for a fantastic job here tonight. If the tyre change worked out, you might see some drivers in future just going, all right, I'm going to change tyres. It does make a little bit of difference. So just looking through the field now at some of the other drivers in the race, some big gainers, and Ruben Phelps is one of those men at the moment. He's up 19 positions in this race. Ruben Phelps, one of those other drivers that looks like he's just taken fuel only, stationary for just 9 seconds, one of the faster times through pit lane. So he is having a good run now, and he's trying to catch up to Darren McKenzie at the moment, and well, that'll be a familiar feeling, won't it?
Yeah, after last night, yes.
Got a good battle as well going on between Barry Neal and Stevie Dubb at the moment. Barry Neal getting a good launch just before the S's and just gets ahead of the big green machine that is Stevie Dubb in the DPR entry. Do not discount Stevie Dubb though, because he is well, he's got a lot of experience in ANZCAR, but he's very good on the road courses as well. He just locks up the brakes there, just taking avoiding action, almost got the move done back on Barry Neal. Good little race going on there for P14 and 15.
Just checking in on our man that we had a chat with before, Matty Ray. He's dropped 2 spots after his pit stop, and he's down into 17th.
Yeah, he's just had a Blake Delaney at the moment, a new face for me at least with ANZCAR. I don't think I've ever seen Blake out there before. So a new driver to the Cup Series in ANZCAR as well, I believe, in the Fishy Motorsport set entry. Nice looking livery on that car as well. He's had a solid run there. Up in P18, started in 29th position. So having a solid run through the field at the moment. And yeah, very nice looking car as well.
Yeah, certainly the lime green and the black certainly sets it off.
It does indeed. Nice little fishbone on the side as well. Yeah, looking very nice there indeed. And Matty Ray just up there, just behind Riley Curtis at the moment. A little bit of a gap between those cars. And Matty Ray, I'm sure he would love to get in the top 15 tonight, but I'm sure he's going to be pretty happy with his performance tonight. He's having a solid run here on the road course in this Cup car.
Yeah, look, I know Matty Ray would love to be in that top 15. but he will take points wherever he can get them, and he won't want to touch anyone. He'll want to get through the race cleanly if he can.
Absolutely. Mark, what I might get you to do is just have a bit of a run through the field and the current order, if you would.
Yep, no worries. So back out front in P1 we have Luke Rosell, second Andrew Dyson, third Darren Lobb, fourth Neil Pearson, fifth Daniel Hedershade, which is good to see him up into the top 5. Right behind him is his teammate Toby Stent. Then seventh Luke Trahere, eighth JCW, ninth Jai Schultz, 10th Darren McKenzie. So they're having a reasonable run tonight, both back up into the top 10. Just outside the top 10, Ruben Phelps, and 12th Dave Douglas. Good to see him out here on the road course, and he's now coming under pressure from the man in 13th, Lachlan Yerke. Sorry, I'll just stick with Blocky. 14th, Barry Neal. 15th, Stevie Dubb. Excuse me. 16th, Riley Curtis. 17th, Matty Raymond. 18th, Blake Delaney. 19th, Christopher Tomlin. He's not having a bad run. He's staying clean tonight. In 20th is Christian Koch. 21st, Adam Malone. 22nd, Daniel Boyd. 23rd, Brad Finley. 24th, Jamie Nankervis. And right behind him, or a couple of seconds behind him, is his teammate Norman Clark. Kobe Jordan in 26th. Then in 27th we have Paul Jackson. Brendan Henderson, I think, is in pit lane. And then we've lost the retirement so far, Dylan O'Shea, Christian Yellen, and Michael Skurlock, and Mirko. So not a bad run. We just seen Matty Ray get past Riley Curtis there. Riley locked it up and ran a little bit wide. I think it was in turn 1.
A good race going on between those two, giving us some good entertainment throughout the field at the moment. Fastest lap again for Luca Rosella at the front of the field, 2 minutes 11.441. Again, just that fair bit quicker than Andrew Dyson. Can't really seem to do anything to attack Dyson's pace at the moment. It's definitely looking like those fresh tyres are just helping that little bit, just giving him that little bit of extra pace at the moment in the 32.
Yeah, with 7 laps to go, unless Andrew can really start to close that gap now, I think Rosella's going to have this race.
Been a solid run all night for Rosella. In the history books, it will be start to finish at the front, and well, it's pretty much been that way, hasn't it? Really, but a great performance here tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to lap 1 and just see what would have happened if Dyson didn't get that turn.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those big what-if situations, but I've got to say, with his pace tonight, he's just been so very quick. And, I guess the only other thing that might be looked at is just the start, because he got on the gas very, very early. But, yeah, he's just had a pretty much a flawless run tonight, and that's great to see. We love to see new faces pop up. And, on road courses as well, we see it quite often. These people just popping up and getting a good run on the road courses because they are track specialists. But it's always nice to see. A little bit further back, though, we've got a great battle going on between JCW and Luke Trahere, and now JCW is all over the back of Luke, giving him an immense amount of pressure. The battle for 7th and 8th at the moment on track, giving us some fantastic stuff. Darren McKenzie at the moment rounding out the top 10. Jai Schultz worked out nicely for him, that early stop, getting those fresh tyres. And as we know, tyre wear's not too much of an issue tonight, but I think he'll be happy to have those fresh tyres on in P9 and be pretty comfortable to get home from there.
Yeah, just see Sarah has just tuned into us, one of our regulars. And how dare you miss the start of the race, Sarah? uh,
Disgraceful stuff.
yes, it is. You should have been here, not at work. You haven't missed a great lot, as we were just saying. Luke Russell has led from the drop of the green flag. There's been a few incidents throughout the race, but nothing really to write home about. And it's been a pretty tame race for us tonight.
Yeah, there's been a few events in the race. There's been a few moments here and there, but everyone's been driving really, really well tonight, and it's great to see. Obviously, the new generation of NASCAR, this stock car has got it's got ground effects on it. It's got some underfloor downforce on it. That's why you don't see a big huge spoiler on the back, because it has one, but it's only like a real tiny gurney flap at the back, isn't it? Really, it's not much of a spoiler at all. But the cars just get sucked to the ground. So it's all the underneath work that does the work. It's that rear diffuser that does all the hard work. As you see Darren Lobb in the 99, just getting past Tristan Koch there, just passing him as he's lapped down. But these cars act very differently to the Xfinity and the truck. It's a very different car to drive. It's a little bit more like a GT car in the way it behaves. It's a little bit more predictable in some spots, and a lot of drivers who drive the stock cars don't like that. They like their cars to be a little bit more aggressive and on edge. But these things are not easy to drive. They have their style and they have the way of driving them. You've got to be really smooth in them. They're just such a different car to drive. They're almost like a mix of a GT car and a classic NASCAR. They've just mushed them together, and you've just got this weird in between of the two vehicles.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Carl, when those tyres are cold, it's like a cross between a GT car and a sprint car on dirt, because if you put your foot down hard, these things will break loose on you.
Yeah, that is it. It's a strange sort of thing, and it took a while for me to get used to it. In last year, I had a couple of races in this. I think my last race on a road course in this car was probably the Glen, actually, for the Warriors series. So it's been a bit of time, but they are a very tricky car to get used to, and it's a very different challenge as well. As you see the brakes glowing bright there on Neil Pearson's car as he's trying to get up past Darren Lobb at the moment. He's just getting past Christopher Tomlin at the moment, the Inside Lane Productions car there as well, of course. Big shout out to Inside Lane Productions, and of course to them. And it's always nice to see some sponsors and some nice looking cars as well. They've got a really nice paint job on their vehicles.
I just wish they'd keep the same colours though. No, but that they do that to test us guys out up here in the booth, and it's great to see them change their schemes up a little bit and bring some interesting paint schemes. I must say, I do like those paint schemes, the different tone lines on the cars this year.
Yeah, there's been some really cracking cars out there, which is always nice to see. It's always a fun thing to see. Some really nice, pretty looking cars, and it's a lot of effort that goes into that as well. A lot of these guys doing a lot of work to get these cars looking as good as they possibly can, and there's many hours of work put into those ones as well. A little bit further down the field, I was just looking at Black Arrow's teammates. You've got Jamie Ann Curvis and Norman Clark sitting 24th, 25th position at the moment. Probably not the race they would have wanted necessarily, but they're not having a bad run, sitting within the top 25 at the moment. We've had remarkably little attrition here tonight, with 27 cars still running out of 33.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just give a shout out to Dee Dee for Dee Dee's casting couch. That he's really turned up the wick on his paint scheme too, with the silver green or chrome green and black tonight this year. So he's trying to close in there on Lachlan, and he closes up, but Lockie's just seemed to have the little bit of speed down the straights and just claws away again from Dave Douglas.
Absolutely, a nice looking car. It's got the RCD logo on it, so the Riley Curtis designs doing a fantastic job as well. Big shout out to Riley Curtis for all the work he does as well behind the scenes to the wizardry to make these cars look very pretty for us as well. You know, it benefits the race broadcast as well. The two Natari cars of Hendershide and Toby Stent having a solid run at the moment, P5, P6. Joshua Carroll Warden would surely love to get past Luke Trahere and make that a lockout for P7 as well. But Luke Trahare's got the better of him at the moment in the 43 weigh down machine. So a good race going on down there between those two.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to jump back to Dave's car. What I do like about that car is the green Mustang. I'm not a Ford man, I'm a Chev man, but I do really like that green Mustang on the front of that car. It really pops and makes that grille pop out a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit more standout there. Always nice to see. There's a nice little tweak as well. Just makes it a little bit different, and you know, an awesome little job there as well. And you know, it's little different things can make a big difference as well. Currently at the front, it's 5.5 seconds, or 5.4 seconds, I should say, between Rosella and Dyson. And Andrew Dyson's sort of just not able to get the pace out of the 41 Chevrolet tonight. And look, that's an odd thing to say on a road course, especially Coda. It's a track that I know he is very quick at, but they are just swapping, you know, best times. They're swapping fastest laps of the current laps as well. Every time I look at it, one of them is blue, one of them is white, and they're just always there or thereabouts. But the constant is Luke Rosella has always got the purple. He's currently got the fastest lap of the race, and that has not changed all race long. And that tells the story there at the front. Darren Lobb having a really good run for DPR as well, and P3 just ahead of his team leader, Neil Pearson. And Lobb's just been comfortably in that position all night. He's had some good speed in the 99, and yeah, he's having a really good run there.
Yeah, definitely. What's interesting though, Carl, is that both Luke Rosella and Andrew Dyson set their best lap on lap 22 after they've made their pit stop and was able to make those little fine adjustments. So there's definitely speed in this track on the second half of the race.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, the fuel, when that goes down, that makes a big difference as well.
And then the next group of cars from third right back to 22nd, their best laps were set on lap 21. So that was after they've also made their pit stop and their fuel down a little bit. So those fine adjustments, as I said, have really made a difference to these cars.
Yeah, we expected to see that with the tyre pressure change. Just being able to change that tyre pressure, being able to tweak the car to your liking, it makes such a difference, and it's brought us so many good races this season for the Cup as well. It's been one of those things that the drivers have been finding it a little bit tricky to get used to sometimes. There's been a few mistakes of drivers. You'll see if you ever read the after race reports, a couple of drivers getting the old disqualification because they forgot to upload telemetry or they forgot to, you know, they didn't quite get the thing right. That's happened before, but it's brought us, without a doubt, it's brought us some of the best racing we've seen in the Cup for a while, and it has really been fun, bringing us a lot of different drivers up in the top steps of the race as well, and that's really changed how things work. And yeah, it's been really fun, and we've been enjoying it so far, and the drivers, you know, the drivers have really been enjoying it as well.
Yeah, definitely. But really, Carl, across the three leagues that we cover over the two broadcast networks, it's been very close racing across the trucks, the Cup cars, and the supercars. I really don't think we've seen anyone outside of 2.5 seconds race win.
No, it's been very, very close stuff all year long, and we've been treated for sure. Like, I think this year has been some of the best racing we've seen, which is great, and it speaks a lot to the skill out there as well.
Yeah,
Not disparaging people in the past, because they have improved an enormous amount over the time. But that's the thing, is people have improved so much in their racing, and it's brought us some really close finishes, and it's also changed those drivers that we see up there at the top. The top 10 drivers, the winning drivers, things like that. There's been a lot of different drivers' names up there in those places, and that's brought us some really fun racing. And look, that's what we love to see in motorsport. We love to see close racing. It's great when you have a driver getting those wins and having a nice run, a good season. But when you can get a lot of different drivers winning, that is the thing that makes a huge difference. Just looking a little bit further down the field at the moment, about P9 is sort of on at the moment between Mackenzie and Jai Schultz. Jai Schultz currently in P9. He's just had a couple of little lockups in the 270, and that's led Darren Mackenzie to just close the gap a tiny little bit here and there. So on that last lap, definitely be a place to look out for. And speaking of just closing the gap a little bit, first time all night long, Andrew Dyson drops into the 2-minute 11s. He has just got into a 2:11.9 second range, so he's starting to really put his foot down. We've got just almost half a lap to go. The white flag has been flown for Luke Rosella, but we'll keep our eyes on a couple of other battles, and I'll let Matt know when we're getting close to that finish line for Rosella. But this race has brought us some really good entertainment tonight.
yeah, definitely. It's been, again, like the Thunder Series last night, really a great race to watch right throughout the field. Some very, very close battles, like you can see there. Jai Schultz and Darren McKenzie, guys that finished high up, or the winner from last night, Darren McKenzie. We've seen JCW, Luke Traher. We've seen Phelps and others have a good battle. Stevie Dubb, some great battles right throughout the field. As we see Russell now coming down with only a few turns. Sorry, not Russell. Rosella's coming down with only a few turns left.
Absolutely, coming into the carousel for the final time tonight. Rosella is going to be just getting the car home, and look, he's had an absolute mega race tonight in the Synergy car, the number 32 entry. I think, as I say, I remember him starting last year in a race, but it's been a long time since I've seen Rosella back on track. But tonight he comes back with a vengeance as it comes around turn 20 for the final time tonight. Lights it up, burns up those rears a little bit, crosses the line and gets victory here tonight at Kota. P2 will go to Andrew Dyson in the DPR entry, with Neil Pearson just getting ahead of Darren Lobb there to take P3 at the end. Solid drive for Darren Lobb in P4. Will he be able to do anything about it? Not looking like it. Just misses out there and gets a top 5 finish, P4 for himself tonight. Daniel Hederscheid next on track for the Natari entry. He has got a nice... he's got a bit of a lead over his teammate Toby Stent there. They're going to be coming across the line. Solid run for them both. The best of the rest, you've got to say, as they come across the line. But nice to see a lot of different teams up there again in this race, because we've got Luke Traher next up in the 43, one of the infamous, the famous BMX Bandits groups. He's going to be looking to come home in P7 with Joshua Carroll-Walden in P8. They've still got a fair few turns to make it, so we won't go through the full finishing order just yet, because they still have yet to finish, of course. I think everybody down to Stevie Dubb has got to cross the line, but across the line comes Luke Traher. Joshua Carroll-Walden finishes up in P8. P9 looks like it's going to go Jai Schultz's way. He came in a little bit early, and it worked out very nicely for him. He's going to finish ahead of Darren McKenzie as long as he can keep those rear tyres from spinning up in these final corners. As he crosses the line, it is Jai Schultz coming home in 9th, P10 for Darren McKenzie. Ruben Phelps finishes off a Lachlan Urquhart will come home in
11th.
P11 with Ruben Phelps in 12th. Dave Douglas crosses the line in 13th spot with Barry Neal just behind him in 14th. Matty Ray will come home. He's got that P15 that he was after. As big moment there for Riley Curtis. Did he get ahead of Stevie Dubb? He did just lose that position. Stevie Dubb just got ahead of Riley Curtis there. Just sneaking ahead of him as they crossed the line. Riley Curtis coming home in 17th spot. As we'll just wait for everything to finish up, the iRacing to take a deep breath, and we'll have a look at the rest of the order in a little bit of time. So let's just run through those finishing order. It's Luke Rosella in P1 with Andrew Dyson in second, Neil Pearson in third, Darren Lobb in fourth, fifth place for Heddershide, Toby Stent in sixth, seventh for Trahair, eighth for Carol Walden, Jai Schultz in ninth, and 10th for Darren McKenzie. As we roll over the page, it's Lachlan Urquhart ahead of Ruben Phelps, Dave Douglas in 13th spot with Matty Ray getting P14 in the end with Stevie Dubb in 15th, Barry Neal in 16th, Riley Curtis coming home 17th, 18th for Christopher Tomlin. Tristan Koch comes home 19th position with Adam Malone in 20th. Rolling over the pages, Brad Fenley in 21st with Daniel Boyd in 22nd, Jamie Nankervis 23rd, Norman Clark 24th, 25th for Kobe Jordan, Paul Jackson in 26th, 27th for Blake Delaney on debut, getting a fairly decent run there, 27th, 28th for Brenton Henderson, Dylan O'Shea got the disqualification in 29th, 30th for Skurlock, Yelland, Dortnack and Otto. So what we might do is, let's grab up our third place finisher for tonight's race, the DPR. It is the number 62. It is the red flavour of DPR. It is, of course, Mr. Neil Pearson. Neil, welcome to the booth, mate. It's been a little time since I last chatted to you. How are you going, mate? And congratulations on a P3 here tonight at Kota.
Thanks very much. I'm a little hot and tired, and I feel like I've sweated way more than I normally would in one of these races, but it was good fun.
It was
Happy to come away with third.
Yeah, it was a pretty busy race for you. You had to do a lot of fighting in the early stages and at the end there to beat Darren Lobb.
Yeah, it was good. We had Dylan racing as hard, and he was a little slow in the midfield, and so I was able to catch back up to him, and yeah, ebbing and flowing and stuff. And I missed my braking point at one point and accidentally sent it up the inside. I didn't mean to. Yeah, it was good fun. No hard contacts, which is what we want.
Now, we were looking at pit stops, and we were sort of trying to work out what was going on. It looked like none of you guys in DPR took any tyres. Is that correct?
I cannot confirm nor deny that.
Okie dokie. So you didn't take tyres, but I imagine you played with some tyre pressures there. How did the car feel in that last stint?
No, we didn't take tyres. The car felt really good. It was weird. It felt way more. I was sliding the car a lot more, but I was a lot quicker. So I don't know what's going on there. It's weird. The road course tire on this thing is a bit broken, if you ask me, but is what it is. You know, we just got to race to what we've got. So yeah, I didn't change anything on the setup. So just drove as is.
Well, you gave us some good entertainment out there tonight, Mr. Neil Pearson. Congratulations on P3. But before I let you go, we can leave the big shout-outs for Mr. Dyson if you like, but your personal shout-outs for tonight.
Just, yeah, teammates for having some fun, clean racing. You guys for the broadcast. I'll go watch that a bit later. And ANZCAR for the series. And, yeah, just everyone for having fun. And, yeah, I had some fun tonight, which is much better than last week at Atlanta. That thing needs to get nuked, I think.
See, I quite like the new Atlantic because I had a good result there. But
I was going to say, I think you may be the only one, Carl.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I love the old Atlanta. So that was like the track. I always had a lot of fun there, and just running there was almost so much fun. And now they've just made it cookie, you know, this stupid thing. I don't like it.
No, it's not for everybody's taste for sure. I only like it because I had a good result. But that could be any track for me. Look, congratulations, right, Neil. I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future.
Hopefully.
Neil Pearson there for DPR. We're going to grab up the orange flavoured DPR machine. It is the 41. Mr. Andrew Dyson. Dyson, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on a solid P2 tonight in a pretty eventful race for yourself.
It was pretty eventful for the start there, wasn't it? But yeah, thanks, dudes. Got there in the end.
So the start. Obviously, we saw a bit of contact there when you facing the wrong direction at a turn 1 at Kota. That must have been a big sinking feeling for you.
Well, it wasn't expected because I didn't think I was going slow, but ended up going the wrong way and had to get going again. Luckily, no one collected me. That's the main thing. So I got going again. All good.
No, absolutely. It meant we had some entertainment at the first half of the race because seeing you climb your way back up there. Second half of the race, it was trying to catch up to Luke Rosella, and it just looked like it was a bit tricky.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't as fast tonight, so I just had to do the best I could with what I had and see where I shook out. But it was still all right.
No, absolutely. I mean, the P2, it's all right. It'll do. Look, it was a solid run out there, and it gave us some good entertainment. We were just talking to Neil before about, obviously a couple of little things you can do in pit stop, down pit road. Didn't look like you took tyres, but did you do any tweaks to any pressures or anything in the car, or just did you keep it as it was?
No, I left it all as it was, but yeah, probably had a room left on the table there to experiment with some stuff. But I have to, investigate a little bit more, I think.
That'd be fun because he's something to do in your spare time.
Yeah.
No, look, gave us some really good fun out there, and it looked like it was quite fun trying to catch that fast lap as well from Luke.
Oh yeah, I don't think I was going to get there. I just had to try to throw down something that was the best as I could do. Really, that's what my aim was, and I didn't get there. Obviously, also with that, but yeah, I had a crack. That's for sure. I was having a go.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us the entertainment there. And you got it into the 211s, so that was something at least.
Yeah, it just snuck it in. I probably could have just snuck into the 211s a few times, but a wobble here and there and an apex, I don't know where they went. And next thing you know, you only get 1 to 11. But yeah.
Do you think that maybe a fresh set of boots could have helped at the end, or was it just not worth it?
Yeah, like I said, I really don't know, man. It's something that I just didn't. We don't know. I'm kind of going off last year, like where the big one was definitely don't take tires, and this year it's changed a little bit, and just haven't really worked it out yet. So something that we have to look into, probably suss it out, try and see if we can win some information out of some big dippers and see what happens.
Well, good luck with that. It's never easy getting information out of drivers. I know that from experience.
No.
But look, congratulations tonight, Daiso. Before I let you go, though, the love and shout out to the sponsors and any personal shout outs there as well.
Yep. Shout out to it's APR, all the crew, Simrigs, South Wales, Ben Max, Phoenix, Neil for paint jobs, and big shout out to everyone this week. All being pretty good sports for the new channel on the Discord. Please don't hate me, everyone. But everyone's getting around it, so that's cool, and having a bit of fun with it. So yeah, cheers.
No worries. Thank you so much, Daiso. That's been a good laugh for me as well. I've had some good laughs from that one. But congratulations tonight. I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future.
I'll be having a go. Thanks, guys.
Andrew Dyson there for DPR. And finally, for Synergy, we're going to grab up the winner tonight, Mr. Luke Rosella, and in the 32. Luke, welcome to the broadcast booth. First time getting you up here. Congratulations on a win here at Kota in the 32 tonight.
Yeah, thanks, mate. The car was good. Pace was good. It's a little bit different from the last time I drove it exactly a year ago. The tyres drop off a little bit differently, so you sort of got to manage it a little bit differently throughout the stint. But really happy with how I went to get the win.
Absolutely, it gave us a great entertainment there. Look, pole position, fastest lap, and the win tonight. You were looking pretty unstoppable here at Kota.
Yeah, it's a track I usually actually go pretty well at in most cars. So yeah, didn't take long to get to grips with the circuit. But yeah, as I said before, the car drives a little bit differently to last time I drove it here last year on a road course. So yeah, that took a bit of time to get used to, but got it in the end, and happy to get first for today.
No, absolute brilliant stuff out there. Obviously, pit stop looked like you took all 4 fresh tyres as well.
Yeah, I did. I was a bit surprised with Dyson. He looks like he only took left or right side.
He took none, I can tell you that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. I didn't really have an idea about strategy. I thought the guy was to take all four at the pit stop. So luckily, I had that gap. Had about 7 or 8 seconds of gap. So
Yeah, how surprised were you when you were just pulling out a pit lane and all of a sudden Dyson was like right on your bumper?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, no, I had to get on with it. You also had even more of a benefit because I had the cold tires with this new car, the new tire model, whatever. The cold tires are so much slower, so he actually gained another further second on me. So yeah, I had to get on with it. And yeah, he definitely put on the pressure, but yeah, I did well to withstand it and got the win in the end, which is good.
Now, look, congratulations on that victory tonight. A well-deserved one, very well-driven as well. Hopefully, we'll see you back for some more races in the future, maybe with ANZCAR.
Yeah, well, I said the same thing last year. I was going to run all the road course races, but that never materialised. But hopefully this year, I'm going to try and make that happen. So yeah, you'll probably see me at what is it, Sonoma or Indianapolis? I can't remember the next road course.
My brain is going blank there as well, so it'll be one of them for sure. But look, we look forward to seeing you back for that one. Congratulations tonight. But before we let you go, the usual thing: shout out and love to sponsors and anyone you'd like to say hello to tonight.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to Synergy Sim Racing, Wave Runner Performance Center, DYD Customs, and Smith and Sons. Thanks for those guys.
No worries. Thank you so much, Luke Rosella. Congratulations on victory here tonight. First ANZCAR win for the Cups. And look, hopefully we'll see you back in a couple more road courses in the future.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
And well, that is that for Kota, Mark. We are done and dusted here. And well, we'll be heading off to pastures a little bit more green in the near future as well.
Yeah, definitely. Some interesting battles there again. Some battles that continued on from last night. But very interesting to see these boys in these cup cars, and it's good to see a different winner on a road course.
Absolutely. It's always nice to see a new win in the Cup Series. Always nice when we have a new person come in and throw the gauntlet down as well, because it only makes drivers improve when somebody goes quick. Everybody else goes, well, I'm going to go quicker than you in the future. So it will be exciting stuff indeed. Heading off to a very different track. Next time, though, it is Richmond Raceway. 150 laps at Richmond next time out. A very, very different course indeed.
Yeah, very different. Go from the road racing, turning left and right, to a very, very tight left-handed all the way. Some heavy braking there at Richmond, so we will see some nice bright red disc on the cars again next week.
Right, absolutely. And of course, if you are looking for some more racing action in the near future as well, don't forget Sunday nights we have the V8s, the Australasian Supercar E Series, the V8 cars on the ovals. I can't remember where we are this week.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, beautiful, thank you. It is Indianapolis, which will be fun indeed. So looking forward to that one. Of course, next week we will be at Martinsville for the trucks, Richmond for the Xfinity and for the Cup. And of course, we have the Weekend Warriors on Saturday night as well, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. Very much a road racing week this week, because we're at Charlotte Roval. So some entertaining racing there.
And Pocono, I think it is this week for V8s.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So it should be some really fun stuff indeed. Look, we thank everybody for watching tonight, and a big thank you, of course, to Mr. Mark Johansson and Matt Hunter. From myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, we'll wish you all a good night, and we will see you in the very near future for some more action here on Performance E Streaming.